Judith Butler, Who's Afraid of Gender? In Who's Afraid of Gender, Judith Butler embarks on a profound exploration of the societal, cultural, and political forces that define and confine gender identity. This enlightening read challenges the binary view of gender as either man or woman, unveiling the historical, cultural, and scientific complexities that exist beyond these constraints. Readers can expect an immersive dive into how power structures such as patriarchy, colonialism, and capitalism exploit these binary norms to maintain dominance and oppress marginalized groups. Butler's work provides a crucial lens for understanding the struggles faced by transgender, non-binary, and gender-fluid individuals, particularly in the face of conservative backlash and policies aimed at suppressing gender diversity. With references to global traditions like South Asia's Hijra communities and Native American Two-Spirit identities, Who's Afraid of Gender invites readers to consider a more inclusive and nuanced understanding of humanity's diverse expressions of gender identity and expression.
Unmasking the gender debate. Gender diversity is often portrayed as a grave threat, with opponents arguing it undermines societal foundations and perpetuates a cultural domination strategy by cultural elites. Prominent among these critics is the Catholic Church, under Pope Francis, who equates gender theory's dangers to those posed by nuclear weapons, claiming it endangers humanity's existence. This sentiment is echoed by conservative religious groups globally, which view gender diversity as a direct challenge to their belief systems. In the United States, the MAGA movement and a Supreme Court shaped by the Trump administration have reinvigorated efforts to uphold traditional gender norms, such as through the military's ban on transgender individuals. These actions are viewed as necessary to safeguard traditional values and restrict the advancement of LGBTQ+ rights. The resistance to embracing gender diversity is deeply ingrained in a network of oppressive systems. The maintenance of a rigid gender binary is crucial for sustaining patriarchy, white supremacy, and the power structures established through colonialism. Enforcing a narrow perspective of gender helps these systems hold marginalized groups in consistently subordinate positions and preserve existing hierarchies. For those benefiting from these power structures, gender diversity represents a fundamental threat, challenging the core principles upon which their influence is based. It reveals how gender has historically been employed as a tool for control and suppression. As gender is increasingly recognized as fluid and multifaceted, traditional patriarchal orders face significant disruption, and the rationale behind colonial power dynamics is increasingly questioned. Moreover, capitalism's opposition to gender diversity is evident. The workforce has long been shaped by traditional gender norms to maximize efficiency and profit. Consider the shift during the last century, when slogans like Rosie the Riveter encouraged women to enter factories while men were at war, only to revert to traditional homemaker roles upon their return. This manipulation underscores how the essentialist gender binary serves capitalist interests by preserving a certain economic order. The insistence on a binary view of gender inflicts harm not only on individuals who do not neatly fit into prescribed categories but also on society as a whole by perpetuating systemic inequalities. By rejecting the complexity and richness of human gender identity and expression, conservative movements effectively assault the very essence of our humanity in all its varied and unique manifestations. The notion that gender is simply a binary, male or female, is deeply entrenched in Western culture, yet it's an oversimplification that fails to capture the richness of human experience and existence. Beyond the binary. Language, institutions, and countless social interactions are profoundly shaped by our understanding of gender. However, viewing gender strictly as a binary system oversimplifies its complexity and damages those who don't fit neatly into the categories of male or female. This debate is further complicated by the rise of trans-exclusionary radical feminists, TERFs, who, under the guise of protecting women's rights, insist that gender is dictated entirely by biological sex, thus denying the womanhood of trans individuals. They advocate for policies excluding trans people from female-only spaces and seek to reverse legal protections for trans individuals. This binary and essentialist perspective on gender overlooks the multifaceted nature of sex, dismissing the reality of intersex individuals whose physical features don't comply with the strict male-female dichotomy, as well as those identifying as non-binary, gender fluid, or agender. Such views have sparked significant controversy, notably highlighted by J.K. Rowling, who publicly aligned with TRF ideology. Her stance, suggesting that trans rights threaten women and girls, has been met with strong opposition from trans activists and supporters, who denounce her comments as not only transphobic but damaging to her fandom. The notion of gender as strictly biologically determined is both scientifically inaccurate and culturally specific. The binary concept of biological sex is more an invention of modern Western science than a universal truth. Historically, many indigenous and non-Western cultures have acknowledged multiple genders, developing intricate frameworks for understanding and expressing gender diversity. The central issue in this debate is who holds the authority to define gender and who is deemed eligible to be classified as a woman. While gender purists argue that biological determinants answer these questions conclusively, theorists like Butler highlight the oppressiveness of this view, which negates the humanity and identities of those outside the binary, further entrenching gender-based discrimination and violence. To unlock the transformative power inherent in gender diversity, we must confront and dismantle the biases underpinning the binary model. By doing so, we open ourselves to learning from the rich biological and cultural tapestry of gender expressions worldwide, particularly from non-Western and indigenous insights. Gender beyond binary. Imagining gender as merely a dichotomy is both a scientifically flawed concept and a culturally narrow vision. While deeply rooted in Western culture, the binary view of gender is not a universal truth. Different cultures, throughout history and all over the world, have acknowledged and even celebrated the existence of diverse genders, recognizing it as an intrinsic and valuable aspect of humanity. A striking illustration of this diversity is the Hijra communities in South Asia. Identifying as women or as a distinct third gender, they have a storied presence in society dating back to ancient Hindu scriptures. Today, Hijras hold significant roles, blessing marriages and festivals, and also serve as spiritual guides. However, they confront substantial discrimination and violence, struggling with limited access to essential services like education, employment, and healthcare. Many are compelled to rely on sex work or begging, facing constant harassment from authorities. The Hijra's existence challenges the notion of gender as purely biological, emphasizing that social and cultural influences play a crucial role. It also uncovers the illusion of the gender binary, a concept that gained prominence through colonial and global pressures. Indigenous cultures worldwide have long acknowledged multiple gender identities. For instance, many Native American tribes honor two-spirit individuals, who embody both masculine and feminine traits and often assume vital community roles. These are just glimpses into the rich tapestry of gender expressions and identities that have thrived in different cultures and times. By delving into these varied perspectives, we can forge a broader and more inclusive understanding of gender, transcending the limitations imposed by the Western binary model and embracing the diverse spectrum of human identity. This diversity extends beyond social and cultural realms, challenging even biological conventions. Recent scientific discoveries shed light on the intricacy of biological sex, dismantling the simplistic view that categorizes individuals strictly as male or female. This evidence further supports the idea that gender and sex cannot be neatly boxed as binaries, encouraging a more complex and nuanced appreciation of the human condition. Embracing gender diversity. Delving into the vibrant spectrum of gender beyond the binary reveals the rich plurality of human identities and expressions. For those identifying as transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, or agender, gender emerges as a dynamic journey rather than a predefined category. These identities often involve a profound experience of dissonance between societal gender assignments and one's internal self-perception, which can lead to significant psychological and emotional challenges. Living authentically outside the gender binary often means facing societal hostility, discrimination, and barriers in accessing appropriate healthcare and legal recognition. Despite these hurdles, there exists a profound sense of personal freedom and joy in expressing one's true self. Rejecting the rigidity of the gender binary facilitates a discovery of creativity, resilience, and self-awareness. The concept of gender emerges as a complex interplay of natural and cultural elements, notion deeply aligned with the insights of renowned theorist Judith Butler. Gender is not merely innate or socially dictated, it is actively constructed through our interactions with the world. This perspective challenges the traditional understanding of gender as a fixed trait, instead illustrating how diverse factors shape our gender experiences and expressions. Acknowledging the multiplicity and fluidity of gender is essential not only for redefining personal identity but also for advancing social justice. Moving beyond rigid gender categories pushes us towards a more inclusive society, counteracting the restrictive nature of rising authoritarianism and protecting gender diversity. Recognizing the vast diversity of gender is critical in the broader fight for human rights and democracy, affirming that the pursuit of gender justice is intrinsically linked to the collective struggle for freedom and equality. Through embracing this diversity, we lay the groundwork for a more accepting and equitable world for all. Embracing gender diversity. Embracing gender diversity represents both a personal liberation and a foundation for a more just and equitable society. When cultures honor a full spectrum of gender expressions and identities, they nurture an environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute their distinctive talents and perspectives. Take Alex, for example, a young person navigating discomfort with their birth-assigned gender. Throughout their exploration, Alex encounters rigid gender expectations from family, colleagues, religious leaders, and friends. However, upon finding a community that celebrates all gender expressions, Alex discovers the joy of living as their authentic self, marking the first time they feel genuinely comfortable in their own skin. Imagine a workplace where inclusivity thrives, welcoming employees of all gender identities and expressions. In such an environment, individuals can engage fully without fear of judgment or discrimination. This inclusivity drives innovation, creativity, and productivity, fostering not just individual success, but also enhancing the organization and society at large. Embrace your own authenticity on this journey. Reflect on your gender identity and expression, allowing yourself the freedom to explore and express who you truly are. It's important to remember that there is no singular way to be a man, a woman, or any other gender identity. By embracing your unique identity, you contribute to a world that celebrates the entire spectrum of human diversity, fostering a society where diversity is not just tolerated, but truly celebrated.
Judith Butler's Who's Afraid of Gender compellingly underscores the transformative power of embracing gender diversity. Butler calls upon society to challenge the binary norms that constrain human identity and to dismantle the oppressive systems that uphold them. By recognizing and valuing the spectrum of gender identities and expressions, societies can foster environments where individuals, like Alex in the book's illustrations, thrive authentically. Such inclusivity not only liberates personal identities but also enhances creativity, innovation, and social justice. In a world beset by rising authoritarianism and attacks on gender rights, Butler's insights urge readers to envision and strive for a future where all identities are acknowledged and celebrated. Ultimately, Who's Afraid of Gender is a rallying cry for embracing complexity and diversity, transforming our understanding of gender, and creating a more equitable and dynamic society for all.